everyone. Happy Monday to all of you, and thank you for jumping in on FOA Live. It's nice to be back with you since I was not on last week, and Rush was generous enough to hold down the fort. Jennifer Katrulya, co-president of FOA, and we're excited to connect with you after a busy last week. Rush, now you've got your hellos, and then we can catch up with everyone.
Yep. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you're joining us from. As Jennifer said, we have a lot to kind of go through from last week, just to catch up of our visit and FOA's visit to the Miami Art Fair. Just make sure I get that right. So we're happy to have everybody here today. We're gonna go through and sort of unpack what's been going on and just lay a little bit of the groundwork for some of the events and things that we have going on for 2024. So welcome.
Awesome. So we had the chance to see a lot of you last week at let's see, we kicked things off with the event that we shared with Soho Muse, and that was great on Wednesday night. Now we're back to Thursday. To all of you who made the adjustment with us for the FOA retreat, wound up obviously at a really beautiful house. And so Thomas, want to thank you again for your generosity, letting us take over your home. That was great fun. And then in that same evening for the joint effort and hosted event by Impact Wealth Magazine and their winter release. We're really excited about that winter article that they shared about Family Office Association. And so we'll be posting the link to that as soon as they make it digital on the LinkedIn post and on our site so that you're able to grab that. But the article really covers a lot of our planning and events and overall mission and vision for 2024. So looking forward to sharing that with you. And similarly, we had an article come out. I want to thank Crane Currency very much for all of their support. And David, it was great seeing you last week at the retreat. So it was a lot of really nice faces, and this year it's been such a privilege to really get to know people gradually through the year and the support system that's grown. Rush, I think you and I shared this together as we were in Miami, but last week really was a nice cap off of the year, because I think from a number of states and a number of different paths where we've met so many people, you really could feel it as we were in last week. And so closing up Friday, where we had the great event in first in Wynwood, and thanks to you and to Gavin. We'll post some more about Gavin, because I think he's worth a great mention in the social media and on our site for the tour and information about Wynwood, which was really phenomenal. And then closing up with the FOA member dinner Friday night was a great cap off. So again, everybody, thank you who joined. And we've got Carol and Lou jumping in. Hello to both of you on Monday. Thank you very much. And so as we talk about kind of the last couple of weeks, we will, as you may imagine, on the 25th of December, not have FOA Live. And so that Monday and the following Monday, New Year's, we will not have shows on those dates. So today and the next Monday are our last shows with you for the year. We're excited about that. And then we jump back into the January shows with a return to guests. And we actually have far more guests than we have shows. So we'll be carefully lining everyone up for you. And we are excited this rest of the year. There's been so much going on that Rush and I really wanted to keep you posted about all the updates and things happening. So we'll talk to you a little bit about the plan for the rest of the year. Rush, if you want to share, kind of your thoughts from Art Basel as far as closing community. I know I was saying I felt it was such a special set of events. Your take on it, because we've been sharing this journey for the year.
Yeah, the event, I think, it was very, very well attended, and went very well, catching up with a couple people that were there who traveled in from Connecticut, Tennessee, Los Angeles, California, Texas. It was
we even had Monaco, and I think we had Switzerland there, if I'm not mistaken. A little bit
Yeah,
of
it was an international flavor, to say the least. So again, thank everybody for taking the time. The some somewhat comical, but not in the moment funny, things that some shifting of venues and locations, semi last minute, and thank Jennifer for putting all the time and effort into making sure that we had beautiful venues, regardless of what happened. um, but it was, in my opinion, maybe next to the summit, in KC, just a very well attended, and from what everybody else said, a very productive event or series of events over the 3 days.
Well, and I think that really comes down to I want to thank again all the generous people who came in, especially as speakers for our retreat. Given the changes that happened out of everyone's control, to event locations and things like that, we made some quick hops. And really, when I mentioned support system, we had great people jump in, really phenomenal speakers who were excited to share with you as we go into the events this coming year, or this next year in 2024. So. What we have on deck as we look at next year, we will be kicking off. We've actually been approached by a number of families and resource council members who are excited about the idea of starting out regional ongoing events, whether that's lunches or happy hours or some other things across the country. So I think that'll be a lot of fun as we introduce those in. Certainly Connecticut, New York. It looks like likely Miami and Southern California, and kind of going out from there and giving people the opportunity, whether it's every other week or once a month, or at least more frequently, to have ongoing FOA get-togethers in those communities. And so I want to thank those who have reached out and expressed interest. And then we'll be moving those things forward over the next several weeks. We also will be loading. We have hundreds of photos and video and things like that from Art Basel, and I'm going to say Miami Art Week, from the Art Basel event, before anybody reaches out to me. And Miami Art Week, Rush is laughing because there was a lot of discussion about how to use this correctly. So at Art Basel, at Miami Art Week, we do have a number of things that were taken, and so we will get those posted. They will be on the login portion of the member site. And so again, we're going to start to have a lot of things that are shared with members within the site. And so you'll be able to see those there. And a couple of those pictures, of course, will be shared on the social media sites as well. But to get the full gallery, for those of you who will start to receive your new logins, check out those pictures and video, and we look forward to sharing those with you. As we look at the new year, again, we'll have the more intimate regional events going on, and we will also then look forward to starting February 6th to the 8th is our second annual FOA trip to the Waste Management Phoenix Open. And so you are going to see information coming out about that pretty quickly, asking you to let us know if you'll need housing or accommodations and what you're signing up for. We're going to have on the 6th our return to an annual golf tournament for the day. And on the 7th, we'll have our retreat day at the Hub House where we were last year. For those of you who attended, you'll know where I'm referencing. And of course, we'll share the address with approved attendees next year as we get closer. And then on the third day, we'll actually attend the Phoenix Open together again. So that information will be coming out for everyone. Look forward to sharing. And the next signature event after that will be our April summit in Kansas City. So already looking forward to, and if you check out the FOA member website and the main website as well, you'll see the event list with those things added and several more things we have on the way. So I want to thank the people who have allowed us to really kind of experiment this year with a number of different types of events and discussions, and getting our opportunities to get to know all of you and to get to know the community and introduce ourselves to FOA and find the right footing, I think has really positioned us for an incredibly successful 2024. You're going to see we've talked about over the last several months, Rush taking the lead on the peer communities that will be launching. And so it's safe to say, as we now come off of our travels for this year, we'll be taking a very, very deep dive into the content on the website, in the website, and then also that you'll all be seeing in the social media posts. So if you have speakers, that you want to hear or have heard that you think are phenomenal, I hope you'll share that with us, because we'd love to bring the things to you that you're asking for, as well as requests for resources and other things that you'd like to see happen inside of FOA, because that's really where our attention will be over the next several weeks. So Rush, I know as we kick off next year, we had some talk about the impact group, the EB5 community, our alternative investment groups. And interestingly, you and I spend so much time kind of immersed in this that we take for granted that people know. But one of the things that came up at the retreat, for example, were discussions even about fractional ownership of art, and some people saying, hey, it would be incredibly cool to be able to do that. And as you and I mentioned and happen to be aware, there are really cool ways to do that. And I think it was a good example and a good reminder for us that there are so many topics that we have the chance to be exposed to that maybe others don't every day. And so a number of things we're able to share. So if you're on our LinkedIn list, our followers, we will be sending out some calls and asks through the site, and then also out of the FOA newsletter, asking for feedback as well. And so this really is your community, and we hope you'll share with us, and we're excited to jump into next year. If you want to learn disc golf or play golf with us or any of those things, Rush is your guy for all of that. He takes the lead for sure in our athletic endeavors. So we're excited to jump into there. Rush, any holiday travels for you? Any places that you'd recommend for people?
Warm. That's what I would say. We were in Miami and coming from Kansas City, where it was freezing when I'd left. I was expecting hot and humid, and it was 60, 65, and chillier at night. So I'm going to try to find somewhere warm to spend a little time this holiday. And then, as Jennifer mentioned, while we're not going to be doing FOA Live over the holiday, that doesn't mean we're taking a substantial break. We're looking and sort of doing a call to arms for members, listeners, Resource Council to reach out with any interest in the focus groups that we're putting together, and also for any white papers or information that you may think is valid or would be helpful and insightful for the community as a whole. Again, we are more curators than we are proctors, and that's the way that we'd like to manage or head this thing up. So anybody that has information that they think the community as a whole would benefit from, we are happy to take that in, have a discussion, and then present that in or on the website. So reach out, please. We're happy to share anything that's educational and insightful through the community.
Thank you, Rush. And Mary, good afternoon to you, and to LinkedIn user who's shown up. Hi to you. Don't have a name on that one, but a pleasure to have you on today. As we do jump into January, a couple things we want to share. That last 2 weeks of January, we are going to have a 10-day masterclass. And so really we'll be heavily focused on bringing you the content many of you have asked for. And I know we've had conversations with a lot of you who are, whether you're multi-generational or are new wealth accumulators, in whatever walks of life, whether it's been made from corporate endeavors or sports, entertainment, really looking at your family office structure today and forward, and what's changed, what makes the most sense, what do you want things to look like, as you pass on to next generation office leaders. And so right down to, that introduction to family offices and what that historically has meant, what's happened now, the infrastructure in place for family offices, from what used to be a very part of what used to drive that number, that magic number, whether you use the 100 million or you're using something else as your gauge for that number that triggers or makes sense for a family office to be formed. A lot of that also was based on the overhead of maintaining a family office, or what would make sense in terms of that trigger point. And so now with the evolution of outsourcing and also shared resources, we'll talk a lot about that. We'll also get involved in discussions about multifamily offices, because the original intent of those, of course, was to provide the opportunity to share resources and share expertise and support. And while you still want that to be very much the case in the opportunity, you also get a situation where now that's been kind of in some settings tainted a little bit, because it's viewed as being somewhat salesy in certain settings. And so we want to talk about the stigma of that and how people are best leveraging MFOs, and how to get over sometimes the negative sides of what you may hear or encounter, and so that you as a family, if it really does make sense for you, are not burdened by any of those things. We have some great speakers who'll join us and discuss governance, family office governance, and internal controls. We'll touch on investment strategies, philanthropy and impact investing, succession planning. And so we'll really walk through, a number of areas that I guess, to me, and many of you have asked for, a great kickoff to the year, kind of making sure that you've positioned yourselves for success. And we'll be joined by a number of great speakers for all of that as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. On those 2 weeks, then we will not hold FOA live, because we'll be using that time to join you for 2 hours each day for the 10 days. So we'll be bringing a lot to you, a lot of content, and excited about all of that. John Hazelwood, nice to see you. And again, another LinkedIn user. It's a popular, maybe the same LinkedIn user.
I think I think Hans is the same user. I think he's just specifying at this point.
Canary Islands, so we're missing out there too. So
yeah, maybe that's where I'm gonna. Is it warm there, Hans? Because if it's warm and not super humid, I'm in.
So maybe we'll have to look at these as additional locations for FOA travel for next year. In turn, other things that we have going on, we've been asked about the upcoming trips going into next year. We will be involved in a number of collaborations, certainly with our friends from Freedom Capital Markets and from ACG New York. And we have a number of others who have come to us and asked about collaboration. So again, you'll be able to see on the website the events that we already have planned. But we have a number of other things. Jonathan Fishbeck, very nice to see you. It's been a little bit. Thank you, and we'll catch up. We want to make sure that we are leveraging, obviously, the community that we have and bringing more opportunities for everyone to get together. We also have so much that's been brought to us. I'm staying in a hotel, and so of course it always never fails that housekeeping time and vacuuming has to happen during FOA Live. So you're all welcome for the timing of that. Couldn't been planned any better. But we will be looking to next year to really work and bring you more of the partnerships and collaborations that we're excited to share. We've had a number of really phenomenal groups come together and say, hey, let's remove some of the redundancies across all the family office events and relationships, and see if we can give everybody, expanded opportunities to get together with like-minded families, and clear out some of the clutter and confusion. So we're also carefully tracking dates to remove as many conflicts as possible, make the travel as easy as possible, and align things with, if there are major events, whether it's auto racing or football or anything else, that we try to make things as convenient and fun for everyone. So again, your suggestions are welcome and appreciated. In terms of resources, we have over 20 new Resource Council members who have joined FOA, and really excited to share their experience and expertise with you, in addition to the number of new families who have become part of the FOA family. And so again, Rush and I we kind of came out of the recent events knowing that we had a lot of housekeeping and catch up and feedback to go through from everyone. And we're excited about kicking off the new year. And I do feel like, Rush, I don't know about you, but this feels like an FOA party, like everybody showed up today. So I know we have, again, I can't tell now which LinkedIn user goes with the comment that you'll see about the special one-day senior residence, so I'll have to follow up on that. And Roderick, haven't seen you in a little bit, so that's kind of a fun day on here. That does bring me to the point that in January, also for FOA members and Resource Council, we will be kicking off a monthly call for everyone to get together on video, so that as we've been, at the events and things trail off for a while for the cold winter, that we do keep everybody connected at least monthly and continue the discussions and party through to each next event. So with that in mind, I also Rush, if you want to talk a little bit about what you're seeing in the investment kind of trends and updates, if there's anything you want to share. Otherwise, we promised, and I'm seeing already about Austin. John, we're in. We'll be back with you in Austin. But we promised everybody we'd keep this kind of short today and then have a longer call next Monday. And we'll make sure that we bring more back to you. Rush, I don't know. And Kay, great to see you. And now I want to stay on just to catch up with everybody who's joined the call today. It's like a party today. So Kay, John, it feels like a good little reunion. So for everybody, if you mark your calendars for next Monday, we will have a great closeout of the year call for you next week. We'll have the calendar fairly updated for the next year. You've incentivized me today, or motivated me today to make sure that we have a solid closeout time for you next week on FOA Live as we've come out of all these events. But Rush, anything you've got to share as we go into closing things out?
I mean, on the, I guess, business enterprise investment side, I think what's resonated and percolated to the top consistently is just the compression of cap rates across mainly real estate, but that also kind of lends itself into just cash flow from or lending from banks or institutions, and that has become significantly more difficult. Whether it's the price is too high or the institutions are kind of pulling back and having more strict requirements at this stage for lending. So what it has opened up is an opportunity, which a couple of people seem to have jumped on pretty quickly, to create a fund or to leverage some of their relationships to be in essence, a bridge capital facility for groups that need additional cash flow or don't want to dip into the coffers and overextend themselves. So I think that's created an interesting lending niche in the current market with historically speaking outsized returns for lending. So there were interesting conversations around that in a couple of different markets or verticals in both businesses and real estate. So I thought that was interesting. I know there's always talk and conjecture about where the rates are going, and that's great. But it's nice to see people kind of stepping into that role and almost, being an additional resource versus only relying on institutional capital. So.
Absolutely. And I think that's something, Rush and I got to spend some time with several family members, and I know you did as well. If you were at Art Basel, Miami Art Week, any of those things last week. I've done it twice now, so somebody's going to call me. About this, but Miami Art Week last week, talking about the event and the plans for next year. But we had some great speakers at the retreat who were discussing, economic forecasts and expectations about family office investment structures for next week. And I think that as we go into the new year, for those of you who have expertise in that area or who are speakers in that area, we have some great discussions lined up for the start of the year. And then it'll be very interesting to track how the year follows, especially with all the increased discussions, of course, about as we get into the political arenas, et cetera, which we won't be discussing on these calls, but certainly will have a big influence. So whether it's Kay, John, Roderick, Jonathan, some of you on this call who I know have stepped up and said you'd be part of our speaker pool for next year, and we're super excited about that, or the great content I mentioned for some of you who may have joined late about the 10-day masterclass we're going to have in January, as well as the video call to keep everybody connected in the new year. And then quickly leading up to the Arizona trip. And again, for those of you who will be joining us in Phoenix for that first week, or is it the 6th to 8th of February in Arizona, we'll look forward to getting that information published and getting housing and other things secured with you quickly. But again, on that day too, on the 7th of February, we will have a one-day retreat. And so those of you who are available and interested in joining us either as a speaker or a guest in Phoenix, please let us know. And we'll look forward to connecting with you. Next week on the show, we will go over more detailed timeline, speaker lists, the updates we have on calls for speakers and what we have scheduled. And also a number of you have asked for wellness events, whether that's in New York or California or Miami. And so that's something also that we've had some great volunteers step up for, and we're putting together. So some really cool things that are happening as a result of awesome collaborations with a number of you. So, really to see things evolved as we would have hoped, where it's Rush and I get to be a wonderful part of working with those of you who now are excited to jump in and say, hey, let's raise all ships and make this a really cool community and an extended family. That's an incredible honor to be a part of. So, FOA members, again, check out the website for the full library of videos and pictures. Those of you, again, who have your logins or will receive them, will help you get your portfolios set up so you're sharing your detailed information with the other members. And you'll start to see the push pins load up on the map and see where everybody else is located. We'll get the discussion forum started. And so really excited to kick off that website with all of you. If you are not currently an FOA member, either a family office member or a resource council member, and want information about what we're all talking about, please feel free to reach out to us either here on LinkedIn or through communications at familyofficeassociation.us, and happy to fill you in. And we'll see you all again for the extended full-time show next week with updates and planning for next year. Thank you all for jumping in with us. And again, really fun to see all of you. So look forward to it next week, and we'll be ready to go and ready to kick off the last call before the new year. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Have a good week, everybody.